this twist got me. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was just like, wait, what? Like, no way, no way, no way our main female character is actually, like, a dude. I was like, okay, that's a little bit of his twist. That's a shock. It explains a lot with, just the events of the last episode. If you have watched the first episode of Heavenly Delusion, then you definitely will understand now that whole scene with our character here trying to kiss themselves in the bathroom makes just so much more sense now. It's not just an element of, let's say, narcissism. It's because the individual is attracted to women because they are a actual dude. Now, I'm just like, okay, that's pretty interesting. Now, let's dive into some theory crafting for a second, okay? So, my assumption here with this twist, okay, is that the character here basically was somehow transported into his sister's body. And let me give some groundwork here. So we get a little bit of information with this scene, that basically our main female character, which now we know is a dude, was looking like someone else. Like in this like race or whatever, looked very identical to someone. We get to see the picture and it's like, yeah, they do look exactly alike. And basically, with the way this is implied with how the brother died thanks to the actions of the sister, and now seeing what happened at the end of the episode, I'm under the impression that the brother somehow is in his sister's body, and the sister died in her brother's body. And so the entire kiss sequence in the last episode was like, the kissing between, you know, bro and sis. It's just like, what? Like, what? Anime be weird sometimes, dude. Anime legit. Oh my goodness. So, yeah, I'm assuming we got, like, a body swapping thing going on here. Now, is the actual sister dead? Who knows? But, that is my assumption of what is going on with this whole sequence of events. Now, anyways, let's back up and let's talk about, everything else going on within this episode. I want to talk about just the overall scenery. I talked about this in my first impressions, but it needs to be talked about again, like, holy crap, Production IG, they are just going so hard, man, on the art and animation of this series. And someone made a very interesting comment last week on my first impressions that I kind of want to reiterate here. Someone said, I like how Tengoku, or Heavenly Delusion, the style of the anime reminds me a lot, and reminds them a lot, of, like, early 2000s and 90s anime. And basically what they mean by that, and what I'm trying to convey, is that the design decision with the line work to the way the backgrounds are done, etc., it reminds you of just how classic anime was technically drawn, but obviously with a more modern appeal to it, so to speak. And I do completely agree with that, because, like, some of the aspects of this, you know, anime does heavily remind me of very old school anime, and I think that's a great thing, honestly, especially since, you know, the theme of it's like post-apocalyptic, technology's kind of like degraded to a degree, and maybe advanced in some areas. I think that it's a nice little tone and vibe that really fits well with just like what the story is trying to present. Now, speaking of tone, aspects, and all that, I want to mention the aspect ratio we got within this episode. Like, there's a brief little scene where, like, we have, like, darkness, like this right here. You see, like, the whole screen get a little bit dark, you know, our characters are trying to hunt this beast or whatever, and then the whole aspect ratio changes, as you can see here with the black bars on the bottom and top, and I think this is incredibly intelligent, and this is definitely something that is going to fly under the radar, and not a lot of people are really going to catch completely. They might be like, why do they do this? But it's more of a cinematic feel, obviously, and I think the way this entire sequence of events was done was trying to basically incorporate like Japanese horror, or just horror in general, of just building up the tension with the aspect, narrowing the camera down to focus on these two, and also how there's just nothing but darkness behind them. They don't know what is lurking within the dark. It's a legitimately great scene, the way the aspect ratio is done, and what makes the scene even better, as like this, you know, carries on, we get to see like light illuminate in the background as the creature is like walking up behind her, and it's just like, oh, this is this is interesting. Like, I don't know. I like this entire sequence. It's easily one of my favorite scenes of the episode. It's not, like, necessarily the most high animated moment, but it's very skilled and using very minimalistic movement and animation to make something just so jaw-dropping and eye-catching with even very limited colors as well. I think it's legitimately a great scene. Easily one of my favorite moments of the entire episode. I just gotta say. Now, with that all out of the way, I do want to talk about a few other little details. One thing that really caught me by surprise, I guess, was the scene with, what happened here, which is just like, oh my goodness. So, like, I'm gonna be honest here. I thought she was going to die. Like, when I saw her, like, you know, get next to the creature and all that, I was like, okay, she's gonna die. Like, that's what's gonna happen. But then, as she kind of got close to it, she started cuddling it. It's like, whoa, maybe it's actually not so bad. Maybe I misunderstood the creature all along, and that creature actually does have some sentient thought. It doesn't want to harm what we would assume its mother. So it's like, okay, this is fascinating. This is an interesting little twist and all that. It's like, okay. But then all of a sudden things take a twist, and obviously she gets shredded into a million pieces, and then, you know, devoured. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, that really took me by surprise. I was just like, I was shocked with just how gruesome it was. Like, I didn't expect the gruesome, violent nature of that moment. I know that's going to catch a lot of people by surprise when they watch it. I was just like, wow, this series does not want to shy away from stuff like that. I honestly appreciate that. I do like, you know, having unfiltered, uncensored content, and I think that is a very nice moment. Which, speaking of uncensored, that is a good segue. So, people have told me that with the first episode, there was a lot of censored content within the first episode. And what I mean by that is like mainly with like the scene where she's in the bathroom by herself. Basically, she's full on, like, everything is there, and it's just like, wait, what? That's actually in the manga? Apparently that's completely there, and I'm just like, oh, wow, I mean, it makes sense why that's not in, you know, the anime, but it's just like, apparently there's full on, like, content like that, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so yeah, there's apparently a lot more adultish vibes, so to speak, with what this series has, and what it's offering, and I'm just like, yeah, it's definitely trying to tell kind of a post-apocalyptic mature story, honestly, and I appreciate it. But, okay, getting back on topic, though, we need to talk about this entity, okay? So, basically, we get to find out, you know, a little bit more about our characters and kind of how their personalities are, you know, and if they're a little bit different, so to speak. It's very obvious by what I talked about at the beginning of the video that this is the brother now incorporating his sister's body. He is now in his sister's body. We don't know what happened to the sister, but that's what we're assuming has happened at this point. So there obviously is some form of weird powers going on within the story. I mean, it's kind of obvious at this point with the creatures, etc. But something went on with the brother and sister. And then we also see, you know, our other main male character. You know, he comes in and he actually somehow able to put an ethereal energy into the monster and crush its heart and kill it. And he basically says he can only do this to these type of creatures. He, like, couldn't do this for crocodiles, etc. So this implies that he can only affect these new mutant creatures within this world, which is weird. So this means that he probably can't do this to, let's say, humans, etc., only to, like, creatures that are monstrosities, so to speak. Now, speaking of powers, we do need to talk about the beginning sequence with this, like, what's like a dome colony and these kids and stuff. We basically get a lot more, like, little insight that there is definitely some mystery stuff going on with these characters. We get to see these weird markings and bruises or whatever on the characters, with a character within the dome colony and a character outside the dome colony as well. We saw, for instance, like the woman, I think her name is Maru. She apparently died to whatever was going on with her skin, with those bruises or sores. She died in her bed, which has kind of initiated the journey within this series while they're venturing out, etc. But it lets us know that whatever is going on within this world, these markings appear on these characters, and it seems to be like something, it's death. It's like, you know, Black Plague or something. You straight up die. Now, obviously, with one of the characters within the colony having it, it does imply that, you know, either A, it's what gives them abilities, or eventually they succumb to something. Who knows? Maybe they all have it. Maybe it's a virus. Don't really know. Maybe they're going to turn into a monstrosity that, you know, we saw within this, you know, episode. We don't know yet, because there's still a lot of mystery, tones, and vibes within the story, but I think that, you know, obviously thanks to that is what's keeping this series very engaging, and why many people are excited to see what's going to happen next. Now, once again, going back into the abilities, it's very clear that there is definitely some supernatural abilities. I mean, it's kind of been obvious at this point, but there's definitely some supernatural abilities going on. I do wonder exactly how far those abilities will stretch. Like, for instance, will we get stuff like, telekinesis? Will we get, like, actual superhuman strength? Or will it just stay bare bones, like maybe something like, just like, oh, I can move a little bit faster, etc.? We will have to see. Now, besides all of that, though, I do want to talk about the, opening song, by the way, because I think that this is something that just straight up was a banger to me, and I was just floored. Like, just the artwork quality alone. Like, yeah, look at this. It's just so stylized. I love the styled nature of this opening. It's very impressive. Like, the staff, man, they went so hard on this series. It is just incredible. Like, I can't help but just, like, clap at just the sheer beauty of what the series had to offer. I mean, on top of that as well, we also got the ending song, which is not as stylized, I would say, as, like, you know, the opening, but I really do like the ending song and all that. The ending song's pretty good. But, yeah, I mean, overall, so far, from what I can see from this series, it's continuing to be good. Episode 2, I would say, is even better than the first episode, which is kind of shocking, because usually the first episodes are kind of supposed to be the best, and episode 2 is kind of a little bit more of a calmer episode, but no, episode 2 is straight up amazing, and if this is what I have to expect from the story, I am really curious to see how it carries on as we continue to see the episodes come out. But I guess I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed my video and you would like more on Tengoku, Heavenly Delusion, and other series, etc., then do leave me a like on the video. It does help me out a lot, and I would really greatly appreciate it. Helps with the whole YouTube algorithm and all that, because obviously YouTube won't recommend videos if, you know, there's not certain, like, I guess, publicity, like likes, etc. So if you want to see more of my content, you know, do leave a like, do subscribe, do hit that bell icon down below. But with that, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.